What's up, everyone? My name is Amir, and today we're diving deep into a country that holds a truly special place in my heart, Vietnam. I've traveled all over Southeast Asia, and let me tell you, there's something about Vietnam that just hits different. It's more than just the incredible food, the breathtaking landscapes, or the kindness of its people. There's a unique energy here, a soul forged in a history unlike any other in the region. From the bustling streets of Hanoi to the tranquil rice paddies of the Mekong Delta, Vietnam tells a story that is both ancient and incredibly modern, a story of resilience, identity, and undeniable magnetism. You might think you know Southeast Asia, but Vietnam constantly challenges expectations. It's a place where you can sip on a French-style coffee in a cafe designed with socialist-era art, all while listening to a language that sounds like a beautiful song written in the Latin alphabet. It's a nation that has looked to its giant northern neighbor China for centuries, yet fiercely carved out its own distinct path. This blend of influences, this complex tapestry of history, politics and culture, is what makes it stand out so dramatically from its neighbors like Thailand, Cambodia, or the Philippines. So in today's video, we're going on a journey to uncover exactly why Vietnam is so unique. We're going to explore its colonial past, its one-of-a-kind political system, its deep cultural roots, and its explosive modern economy. We're going to look at the scars of its past and the incredible strength that has grown from them. If you're ready to understand what makes this country tick, to see beyond the tourist trails and connect with its true spirit, then stick around. This is going to be an incredible exploration. Let's get into it. To truly understand Vietnam, you have to start with its colonial history because it's a world away from what its neighbors experienced. While countries like Malaysia and Singapore were under British rule and the Philippines under Spanish and then American influence, Vietnam was the crown jewel of French Indochina. This wasn't just a trading post, it was a full-blown attempt by the French to remake a nation in their own image. You can literally see and feel this legacy the moment you step foot in cities like Hanoi, Dalat, or Ho Chi Minh City. It's written in the architecture. Look at the grand boulevards, the tree-lined avenues, and the stunning colonial villas with their shuttered windows and yellow ochre paint. These aren't just old buildings, they are echoes of a different time. The Hanoi Opera House is a breathtaking replica of the Palais Garnier in Paris. The Saigon Central Post Office, designed by Gustave Eiffel himself, feels like you've been transported to a 19th century European train station. This deep architectural footprint is something you just don't find to the same extent or in the same style in Bangkok or Kuala Lumpur. It gives Vietnamese cities a distinctly European flair, a romantic, almost nostalgic atmosphere that is completely unique. But the French influence goes so much deeper than just bricks and mortar. It's seeped into the very fabric of daily life, especially the food. The Vietnamese baguette, the banh mi, is a perfect symbol of this. The French brought the bread, but the Vietnamese made it their own, stuffing it with pâté, pickled vegetables, fresh cilantro, and chili. It's a culinary masterpiece born from colonial fusion. And let's not forget the coffee culture. The French introduced the coffee bean, and today Vietnam is the second largest coffee producer in the world, with its own iconic brewing style using the Fin filter, and of course the world-famous egg coffee and sweet condensed milk coffee. It's a national obsession with clear French roots. This legacy also shaped Vietnam's relationship with the West in a very particular way. The long, brutal war for independence against the French created a deep-seated sense of national pride and a fierce determination to control their own destiny. It was a struggle that defined a generation and set the stage for the conflicts that followed. Unlike some neighbors who had a more negotiated path to independence, Vietnam fought tooth and nail for its freedom. This history created a complex dynamic, a familiarity with Western culture on one hand, but a powerful, unshakable sense of Vietnamese identity on the other. This isn't to say other countries weren't profoundly shaped by their colonizers, but the nature of the French mission in Vietnam was different. It was a mission civilisatrice, a civilizing mission, which was an all-encompassing project. They didn't just want resources, they wanted to transform the culture, the language, the very soul of the people. This left behind a legacy that is both beautiful and painful, a duality you can feel everywhere. The French introduced a legal system based on the Napoleonic Code, elements of which can still be seen in Vietnam's modern legal framework, another layer of complexity separating it from its common law neighbors. So, when you walk through a Vietnamese city, you're walking through layers of history. You're seeing a French-designed building next to a 1,000-year-old pagoda, smelling coffee and baking bread, mingling with the scent of fish sauce and lemongrass. This French chapter is not just a footnote in Vietnam's history, it's a fundamental part of its modern identity, a flavor, a style and a spirit that makes it profoundly different from any other place in Southeast Asia. It's the first and perhaps most visible clue to understanding its unique character. Now let's talk about something you can't see in the architecture, but that shapes absolutely everything here, the political system. Vietnam is officially the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, governed by a single party, the Communist Party of Vietnam. This makes it a true outlier in a region dominated by constitutional monarchies like Thailand, or bustling, often chaotic capitalist democracies like the Philippines and Indonesia. This fundamental political difference creates a social and economic landscape that operates on a completely different set of rules. For decades after the war, Vietnam pursued a centrally planned, hardline socialist economic model. This led to extreme poverty and isolation. But then, in 1986, something remarkable happened. The government initiated a policy called Doi Moi, which means renovation. This was a pragmatic shift, introducing market-oriented reforms and opening the country to foreign investment, all while maintaining the single-party political structure. It was Vietnam's version of socialism with a market-oriented economy, and it was a game-changer that kick-started one of the most incredible economic transformations of the 21st century. This hybrid system is fascinating to witness firsthand. You have this incredible entrepreneurial energy on the streets, millions of small businesses, a thriving startup scene in cities like Da Nang, and global brands everywhere you look. It feels, in many ways, like one of the most capitalist places on Earth. Yet, hovering over all of it is the state. The government plays a huge role in the economy, with powerful state-owned enterprises in key sectors like energy, telecommunications, and banking. It's a constant balancing act between free market dynamism and state control. This political structure also fosters a unique social environment. There's a palpable sense of collective purpose and social order that you might not feel in the more individualistic societies of its neighbors. You see propaganda posters celebrating labor and national unity right next to advertisements for Samsung and Apple. This visual contrast is a perfect metaphor for modern Vietnam. The government's ability to enact long-term infrastructure projects and national strategies without the political gridlock seen in many democracies is a key factor in its rapid development. Of course, this system comes with its own set of challenges. There are significant restrictions on freedom of speech and the press that stand in stark contrast to the vibrant and often very vocal media landscapes in neighboring countries. The political discourse is tightly controlled, and there is a different relationship between the citizen and the state. Understanding this is crucial. It's not a Western-style democracy, and applying that lens to Vietnam will only lead to misunderstanding. It operates on its own logic, a logic forged in revolution and a desire for stability and growth above all else. So when you compare Vietnam to its neighbors, this political dimension is perhaps the most profound difference. It's not just a different government, it's a different philosophy of how a country should be run. This socialist framework, combined with the hyper-capitalist energy of Doi Moi, has created a unique development model that is studied around the world. It's a system that prioritizes stability, national unity, and economic growth, creating a society that feels both incredibly dynamic and highly organized at the same time, a true paradox in the heart of Southeast Asia. To really get to the core of Vietnam's identity, you have to look north to China. For over 1,000 years, from 111 BC to 938 AD, Vietnam was under direct Chinese rule. This wasn't a brief colonial period, it was a millennium of deep, profound influence that fundamentally shaped the foundations of Vietnamese culture in a way that is completely different from its Southeast Asian neighbors. This Chinese foundation is the bedrock upon which everything else is built. You can see this influence everywhere, starting with the philosophical and religious traditions. Confucianism, with its emphasis on social hierarchy, respect for elders, filial piety, and the importance of education, is deeply embedded in the Vietnamese psyche. It shapes family dynamics and social interactions to this day. Taoism and Mahayana Buddhism also flowed south from China, becoming integral parts of the spiritual landscape. This contrasts sharply with the Theravada Buddhism practiced in Thailand, Cambodia, and Laos, which has its roots in Sri Lanka and India. This religious and philosophical divergence is a major cultural dividing line. The traditional architecture of temples, pagodas, and imperial palaces is another clear giveaway. Look at the Temple of Literature in Hanoi, or the Imperial City in Hue, the curving rooflines, the intricate use of characters, the layout of the courtyards. It all bears a strong resemblance to classical Chinese design. While there are, of course, uniquely Vietnamese elements, the aesthetic grammar is undeniably Sinitic or Chinese-influenced. This is a world away from the Khmer Temple Mountains of Angkor Wat or the gilded stupas of Thailand. But here's the crucial part. Despite this massive influence, Vietnam never became just a smaller version of China. The story of Vietnam is one of absorbing and adapting Chinese culture while fiercely resisting political domination. This created a powerful spirit of independence and a distinct Vietnamese identity. They adopted the Chinese administrative systems, literary traditions, and technologies, but they always infused them with their own local flavor, their own spirit. This process of Vietnamization is key. Over this Chinese foundation, you have distinct layers of indigenous Southeast Asian culture. The ancient Dongson drumming tradition, the worship of local mother goddesses, and elements of the cuisine, like the heavy use of fish sauce and fresh herbs, connect Vietnam to its Southeast Asian roots. It's a member of ASEAN, after all, and shares many cultural touchstones with its regional neighbors. It's this blending that makes it so fascinating. It's a cultural bridge between East Asia and Southeast Asia. So think of Vietnam as a unique cultural hybrid. It has the Confucian social structure and Mahayana Buddhism of East Asia, combined with the climate, cuisine, and certain cultural rhythms of Southeast Asia. This makes it occupy a unique cultural space. A Thai person visiting Vietnam might recognize the rice-based diet and tropical fruits, but they would find the family structure, religious practices, and traditional arts to be quite different. It is this deep, ancient, and complex relationship with China that truly sets Vietnam's cultural DNA apart from the rest of the region. One of the first things you'll notice in Vietnam is how they write. Everywhere you look, on signs, menus, and newspapers, you'll see letters that look familiar to anyone from the West. The Latin alphabet, just like the one used for English, but it has these cool little marks, hooks, horns, and dots above and below the letters. This is the modern Vietnamese writing system, and it makes Vietnam totally special in mainland Southeast Asia. If you go to Thailand, you'll see the pretty curvy Thai writing. In Cambodia or Laos, you'll find the detailed sharp letters of the Khmer and Lao alphabets, both of which came from Old Indian writing. Even China, which influenced Vietnam a lot in the past, uses a complicated system of characters. Vietnam is the only one that uses a Latin-based alphabet. To understand why, we need to go back to the 1600s when European missionaries arrived. A French Jesuit missionary named Alexandre de Rhodes, building on what earlier Portuguese missionaries had done, created a way to write Vietnamese using the Roman alphabet. His goal was to make it easier to translate the Bible and share Christianity. He cleverly came up with the system of marks to show the tones and specific vowel sounds of Vietnamese. Vietnamese is a tonal language, just like Chinese, Thai, and Lao. The meaning of a word can completely change depending on the tone you use. For example, the word ma can mean ghost, mother, horse, or tomb, depending on how you say it. For hundreds of years, this writing was mostly used by Catholics. The official writing for educated people and leaders was, which means classical Chinese characters, and a local character-based writing called. But in the early 1900s, during the time the French ruled Vietnam, French leaders and Vietnamese nationalists saw as a very useful tool. For the French, it helped break the connection with the Chinese past. For the nationalists, it was easy to learn, so it could quickly help more people read and spread nationalist ideas among everyone. After Vietnam became independent, the government of North Vietnam officially made the national writing system, and it quickly became the standard across the whole country. This decision had a huge effect. It made it much easier for people to learn to read than with character-based systems, and it cut off modern Vietnam from the direct written traditions of China. While someone from Thailand can read old writings, a modern Vietnamese person can't read texts written in or without special training. It created a historical and cultural break, but it also made it easier for Vietnam to connect with the West. So, when you see a Vietnamese sign, you're looking at a piece of history. You're seeing the lasting impact of missionaries, a clever tool used by colonizers, and a symbol of a movement to help more people read, all in one. The Vietnamese language itself, with its tonal, single-syllable words, connects it to the languages of southern China and its neighbors. But its written form, this beautiful and logical Latin-based writing, is a strong reminder of its unique journey through history, making it stand out dramatically from all of its neighbors. Vietnam's economic story over the past 30 years is nothing short of breathtaking, and it has carved out a role for itself in the global economy that is distinct from its regional peers. After the reforms in 1986, Vietnam went from being one of the poorest countries in the world to a middle-income country and a darling of foreign investors. This rapid, sustained growth, often called the Vietnam miracle, has a different character than the development of its neighbors. While countries like Thailand have long established tourism and automotive industries, Vietnam has aggressively positioned itself as a global manufacturing powerhouse, often dubbed the new factory of the world. As labor costs have risen in China, many multinational corporations from Nike and Adidas to Samsung and Intel have shifted huge parts of their supply chains to Vietnam. Walk into any electronics store or clothing shop in the world, and there's a very high chance the products you see were made in Vietnam. Samsung alone is a great example. The South Korean giant is the single largest foreign investor in Vietnam, and its factories here produce a massive percentage of the smartphones it sells globally. This focus on electronics and high-tech manufacturing is a strategic pivot that sets it apart from some of its neighbors who are more reliant on agriculture or natural resources. The government has been very strategic in attracting this kind of high-value foreign direct investment, or FDI, with favorable policies and investments in infrastructure. Furthermore, Vietnam has been incredibly proactive in integrating itself into the global economy through trade deals. It's a member of the ASEAN economic community, of course, but it has also signed major free trade agreements with key partners, including the European Union, known as EVFTA, and the United Kingdom, or UKVFTA. It was also a key negotiator in the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, or CPTPP. This aggressive trade diplomacy is a hallmark of its foreign policy and has made it one of the most open economies in the region relative to its GDP. This economic model has created a society with incredible upward mobility. You can feel the optimism and ambition in the air. A young generation, highly educated and digitally savvy, is driving a booming domestic market. The rise of local conglomerates like Vingroup, which produces everything from smartphones and cars to real estate and healthcare, is a testament to this internal economic dynamism. This isn't just about foreign companies, it's about building national champions. So while its neighbors have also seen impressive growth, Vietnam's path is unique. It's a story of a socialist state masterfully using capitalist tools to achieve explosive growth. It's a story of strategically capturing the global manufacturing shift away from China. And it's a story of leveraging international trade deals to secure its place in the world. This economic engine is transforming the country at a dizzying pace, building a modern, resilient, and globally connected nation that stands on its own 2 feet. You cannot talk about Vietnam without talking about war. The country's modern history is defined by decades of brutal, relentless conflict, first against the French, then against the Americans and their allies, and even a brief, bloody border war with China in 1979. This long history of struggle and sacrifice has forged a national identity of incredible resilience, unity and pride that is palpable and profoundly different from its neighbors. While countries like Thailand famously avoided colonization and major modern wars on their soil, Vietnam was a central battleground of the Cold War. The American War, as it's known here, left deep scars on the land and the people. From the craters left by B-52 bombs, still visible in the countryside, to the lingering effects of Agent Orange, The war is not a distant memory, it's a living part of the national story. You can visit the Chu Chi tunnels near Ho Chi Minh City or the War Remnants Museum and feel the intensity of that period. But what's truly remarkable is how this history has shaped the national psyche. Instead of being a source of perpetual bitterness, it has become a foundation of immense national pride. The narrative is one of a small agrarian nation that stood up to the world's greatest superpowers and won, securing its independence against all odds. This story is a powerful, unifying force. It transcends regional differences and is taught to every schoolchild. It fosters a sense of collective identity and a fierce determination to protect their sovereignty. This spirit of resilience is something you see in everyday life. It's in the incredible work ethic of the people, the ability to overcome hardship, and the focus on building a better future for the next generation. There's a forward-looking optimism that is almost shocking given the trauma of the 20th century. The Vietnamese people have an amazing capacity to separate the politics of the past from the people of the present. You see this in the warm welcome extended to American and French tourists today. They remember the past, but they don't live in it. This legacy also shapes Vietnam's foreign policy. Having fought so hard for its independence, Vietnam is fiercely protective of it. It maintains a careful balancing act in its relationships with global powers like the United States and China. It seeks cooperation and economic partnership, but will not be dominated by anyone. This bamboo diplomacy, as it's called, strong and rooted but flexible, is a direct result of its historical experience. So while other Southeast Asian nations have their own histories of struggle, none were subjected to the same level of sustained industrialized warfare in the 20th century as Vietnam. This trial by fire created a unique bond among its people and a national character defined by grit, sacrifice, and an unbreakable will to not just survive, but to thrive. It's a legacy of sorrow, yes, but more importantly, it's a legacy of incredible strength that is central to understanding the soul of Vietnam today. In a region famous for tourism, with giants like Thailand attracting tens of millions of visitors each year, Vietnam offers a travel experience that feels distinctly different. While its neighbors have had world-famous tourist infrastructure for decades, Vietnam was largely closed off until the 1990s. This late start has become one of its greatest assets, allowing it to offer a sense of authenticity and discovery that can be harder to find in more developed destinations. Many travelers come to Vietnam seeking something more than just a beach resort. They come for the raw, unfiltered culture, the epic landscapes, and the feeling that you're exploring a country that is still in the process of revealing itself to the world. From the rugged mountains of Ha Giang in the north, where you can ride a motorbike through some of the most spectacular scenery on earth, to the labyrinthine waterways of the Mekong Delta in the south, Vietnam offers incredible diversity and adventure. What really sets the tourism experience apart is its affordability, combined with its cultural richness. You can eat like a king for just a few dollars, with street food that is recognized as some of the best in the world. A bowl of pho or a banh mi isn't just a cheap meal, it's a world-class culinary experience. This intersection of high quality and low cost is a massive draw. You can stay in charming family-run homestays, getting a real glimpse into local life for a fraction of the cost of a hotel in other major tourist hubs. Moreover, Vietnam's perception on the global stage has shifted dramatically. For a long time, the country was primarily associated with the war. But today it's increasingly known for its dynamic economy, its incredible food, its safe and welcoming environment, and its stunning, natural beauty. This rebranding has been a huge success. The government has actively promoted tourism, but it has developed in a way that feels more organic and less commercialized in many areas compared to, say, the heavily developed beaches of Phuket or Bali. Of course, popular spots like Ha Long Bay and Hoi An can get crowded, but it's still incredibly easy to get off the beaten path. A short drive from a major city can land you in a village where you're the only foreigner for miles. This accessibility of authentic experience is Vietnam's secret weapon. It's a place that rewards curiosity. It's not a pre-packaged holiday. It's an adventure that you get to shape yourself. So while Thailand may be the land of smiles and the undisputed king of Southeast Asian tourism, Vietnam offers a different promise. It offers a journey. It's a promise of deeper cultural immersion, of historical weight, of breathtaking and often untouched landscapes, and of a vibrant, forward-moving society that welcomes you with open arms. It's this blend of authenticity, affordability, and adventure that makes it stand out so brightly in a very crowded and beautiful neighborhood. So there you have it. From its unique French colonial past and socialist political system to its deep Chinese cultural roots and its resilient forward-looking spirit, Vietnam truly dances to its own rhythm. It's a country of fascinating paradoxes, a place where ancient traditions live alongside a hyper-modern economy, where a history of conflict has given rise to an incredible warmth and optimism, and where global influences have been absorbed to create something unmistakably Vietnamese. It's this complex blend, this refusal to fit neatly into any box, that makes it one of the most compelling destinations on the planet. Every time I leave Vietnam, I take a piece of it with me. The taste of a perfect banh mi, the sound of the bustling streets, and most importantly, the memory of the people's incredible strength and kindness. It's a country that challenges you, inspires you, and ultimately changes you. It stands out in Southeast Asia not because it's better, but because it's profoundly different. Its unique story has forged a unique soul, and connecting with that soul is an experience no traveler will ever forget. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the heart of Vietnam. I hope it's inspired you to look closer and maybe even plan your own journey to this incredible country. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more stories from around the world, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. What do you think makes Vietnam unique? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, keep exploring.